Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Just added Craig Button, one of our two guests of the day. Donnie and Dolly presented by Able Auctions. Able Auctions services businesses throughout BC looking to liquidate assets. Don't miss upcoming auctions, including a high-end fitness club in Port Alberni and industrial equipment and vehicles in Quesnel. It gets cold up there, Rick. If you're a business owner anywhere in BC looking to liquidate assets, email sales@ableauctions.ca. Rick Parka is off, and we're joined now by TSN Scouting Director Craig Button. Craig, thanks for doing this. How are you?
I am good, Donnie. How are you today?
Good. You often, I'm going to hit you with this, and I apologize for it out of nowhere. You spend a lot of time in TV studios. Do you prefer a refreshingly cool studio or a blazing hot studio?
Cool all the way.
There you go.
It kind of goes with my personality, right, Rick?
Yes.
Craig, it's minus 40 in here, and I know you live in Calgary. I know I've been to Calgary many times. You're used to the cold. It rains here 6 months of the year. You know that, Craig. So I'm having a tough time.
Well, I can only tell you this. I ski, right? But I'll be very honest with you guys. I'm a fair weather skier. If it's like minus 11 might get me out there, but because the mountains are so close, it's minus 15. This boy ain't hitting it.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Bottom line, though, cool studio over hot studio. Argument over. Craig Button is to say he's the tiebreaker because it was a tie in here. Hey, Craig, if you were still a GM and you were in charge of the Sharks, what would you say to Evander Kane right now?
Well, I think in the comment that they made that he broke the rules, and I read Evander's comment, his statement. Here's what I would say to Evander Kane. I would say, do you hear what your coaches are saying? Do you hear what your teammates are saying? And I'm talking about after this. We will see. We will see if he comes back into the team. Mm-hmm. We will wait to see what management. Like, there's nothing that a player wants less than to not have acceptance of his teammates. You're part of a team sport. So if I'm talking to Evander Kane, I would be telling Evander Kane, if I'm Doug Wilson, do you even understand the magnitude of these comments? Do you understand how it relates to you and pertains to your behavior and your actions? Do you even understand? Because if you don't understand, it's never going to work here. If you do want to try to understand, and the only way you're going to understand that is by going and spending time asking for that direct, forthright, and honest feedback from your teammates. That would be the first step I would be telling Evander Kane. And then, of course, I would also be saying, and you know what? This is an open forum, Evander, because I'm also going to be asking them, and I'm also talking to them about how they feel about you being part of our team. Because there's no way you are going to continue to be part of our team if you don't have the acceptance of your teammates.
Moving on. Craig, are you and this player has impressed people over the first 3 games of the season here in Vancouver. Are you a Connor Garland fan?
Oh, yeah. Hey, here's a little story for you. So I've watched Connor play since he was 11, 12 years of age. Now come on, Don. You got to be curious, Rick. You got to be curious.
I am.
No, what? I'm sure I'm sure you watched it. You watched him in a cold arena too. Tell us the story.
No, if the rinks are too cold, I ain't going there either.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So a real great friend of mine, I grew up with him and his wife, actually. Their son, Miles Gendron, who's in the Colorado organization right now, played in the Boston area. They lived in Boston. I'll tell you who was on their Pee Wee team. Jack Eichel, Miles Gendron, Connor Garland, who else? There was Ryan Donato. That was their U12 team.
Wow.
So I was lucky enough to watch Connor play at that age. And, I mean, I'm not evaluating. I was there watching my friend's kid, right? And Teddy Donato was there and everything. But anyway, and it was pretty obvious how good Jack Eichel was. So over the years, when Connor started to turn and he played in junior hockey in the Quebec League, and, I kept hearing all the same things. Oh, he doesn't do this. All I know is he was one of the best players. And he was a player that got invested and could play with skill and could play with a real competitive fire. I love him. I love Connor Garland. I always have loved Connor Garland. And the way he plays and the way he approaches the game, I want him on my team. And I think that was a magnificent trade by the Vancouver Canucks. And I also think it was a terrific signing for both Connor and the Canucks.
Craig, what happened with him and Philip Zadina the other day in Detroit? Is the reverse hit more of a weapon than it used to be? It is to me. What do you think?
Well, ask anybody that played against Peter Forsberg and ask them if they
okay.
Anyway, I mean, Peter used to destroy people with the reverse hit. Ray Ferraro and I have had this conversation over a number of years. On the definition of interference, it could be called interference, right? Because, are you delivering the hit or are you defending yourself? There's the gray area, right?
Yep.
So I think sometimes, when somebody's coming to hit you and you're bracing yourself, I look at it as a defense mechanism. And to me, I think it can be a real effective weapon. I think it can be a real important element to keep players that are trying to take you off the puck or deliver a check, finishing their check, that you can say, hey, you better be careful coming near me. Mm-hmm. I mean, Peter Forsberg didn't need a lot of space, and he was able to create space for himself with his skill. But he also did it with that power and that attitude of saying, you want to come near me? I might hurt you. And I saw him hurt people, and I saw him hurt people a lot. So I'm for the reverse hit. Within the context of accepting somebody coming to hit you, you better be aware about what you're doing. And I prefer it over a penalty will be called if you use your stick or your elbow or something. But the reverse hit with the shoulder and you're defending yourself, I'm all good for it. I think more players could use it to a greater advantage for themselves, to be honest with you, Donnie.
Craig, we just got some Canucks news before I ask the question. Brock Boeser's been activated for tonight's game. He's back. Nick Patan has been assigned to Abbotsford of the American Hockey League. Craig, I wanted to ask you about Quinn Hughes. 29 minutes, 27, 26. Had the day off yesterday. What are your thoughts? A ton of minutes for this kid 3 games in.
Well, number one, I've watched Quinn for a long time. He can handle it. You know what? Play him half the game. He's your best defenseman. So if you're a coach, okay, you go 30 minutes. Can you play 30, Quinn? In the tight, maybe you got to kind of look at it and go, when the games are tight, if you're up by a few goals or down by, there's no need to tax him like that. But to me, what Quinn has really learned, he's learned how to manage that ice time. It's a lot of players can't handle the minutes because they don't think their way through those minutes. I remember Daryl Sutter when he was coaching in Chicago, and he told me this story about Chris Chelios. He said Chris Chelios could play 40 minutes if I asked him to. He was great condition, understood the demands. But he said what he also understood was if we're playing a game on a Tuesday night and we got a game, we got to travel on a Wednesday night, we're up by 2 or 3 goals. He just took the puck and flipped it out and didn't create any problems. He just kept mad because he knew that the next night was going to be a real significant. It was going to be a whole other game with different challenges. I think that's the maturity you're seeing with Quinn Hughes. It's not wasted minutes. A lot of players move around the ice and they don't understand how to economize their efforts. And that's the development I see in Quinn Hughes. The skating is brilliant. The confidence is brilliant. The puck is on his stick. He knows how to be elusive and evasive. So to me, when I had a chance to have my best defenseman on the ice, upwards of half the game, and the games are close, and he's going to help us, win a lot more of them than lose them, he's out there, and I have no problem with it.
Craig, Danilo Klimovic, he's only 18, 2 goals, first 2 games. He got moved up in the lineup last game. Power play is getting this kid's 18, Craig. That's a tough league, the American League. Your thoughts on his good start so far?
Yeah, and it is a good start. I default guys to more 18-year-olds, let them go dominate. I mean, he comes from a different program, in Belarus, and his ability to have played a little bit of pro against older players probably gives him a greater advantage of understanding, that older players think the game through a little bit better. They might not be as talented as you, because I think that becomes a real significant part of it, understanding how I can still be really productive, playing against harder and smarter competition. And I think that as long as he shows that he can do that, and he's a bigger kid too. When I say bigger, he's a little bit more physically mature. So you're not putting him in compromising physical situations. So, if he shows that he can handle those and he continues to thrive, no problem. Leave him right there. He's right under the watchful eyes of Ryan Johnson and development staff. So let him keep going until, and then if he shows that he can't, well, then you make a different decision and you take the information from that point to try to determine, what is best for his development. But it's all good now. And you don't want to take somebody away that's having success at the level just below the NHL, because ultimately you're trying to get him to the NHL.
And Craig, very, very quickly here, Boeser being activated, Pedersen, Horvat, Garland, Miller, Pearson, OEL, Hughes, just your opinion of the Canucks' depth offensively right now.
It's brilliant, honestly. And you know what? Let's not take Thatcher Demko out of that, because I think they got a premier goalie in Demko.
But in terms of offense, Craig, in terms of offense.
I know.
Yeah, sorry.
But you need Demko to be allowed to play offensively, because that blue line is still a little bit of a challenge. But offensively, this is a very gifted team, and they're a very dangerous team. And they can score in a lot of different ways. And to me, it's a massive strength. Very few teams in the National Hockey League parallel what the Vancouver Canucks have offensively. And that is something that should give every Canucks fan real reason for optimism to go forward. And, when you got the brilliance of Pedersen, and he looks like he hasn't missed a beat coming back from that injury, the maturity of some of the other young players and just understanding, this is a significant strength that very, very few teams in the NHL have.
He likes a cool studio, but every segment he does is hot. Craig, thanks for this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Okay, you bet.